It'll work. Realistically, if this is a real scenario, he'd be pulling my winch cable right now. I'm gonna kick this off. So thanks for coming out. My name's Glenn. We already met.
Hello, Glenn.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, Dampener. That's enough out of you. So, I want to start off by saying that I am not a certified trainer. So, that being said, I'm just a dude with a Jeep's been doing this for about 9 years. And I've seen some stupid stuff happen. And I think it's important that us as off-roaders have a means of recovering ourselves or somebody else that's on the trail, because you never want to leave somebody stranded on the trail, right? One of those aspects is winching, and I think a winch is probably the best, most important thing to put on a Jeep if you're going to be off-roading, especially if you're alone. So I'm not saying run right out and buy a winch if you don't have one, but what I am saying is it's important to have one, and it's even more important to understand how to use that. Along those same lines, I'm going to go over some recovery gear, just so you have some familiarization. Spread some of this stuff out.
Is that a vest?
Nope. Well, I mean, you can use it as a vest. Yeah. That's everything I carry with me every single time I go out. The stuff I have over here, stuff I don't carry. So let's start with the left here. You're right, my left. This is a kinetic recovery rope. I think this one's 30 feet long. So, anybody familiar with kinetic ropes at all?
Is that the tug and jerk one?
Yep, that's it. So what they do is they stretch out about 30%, building up kinetic energy, and then that energy is then applied to the front of the stuck vehicle.
Wow.
So it slingshots it out, and we'll demo that. When it comes to kinetic ropes, you can spend $100 up to $300. It's on you. That one, I bought it off of Amazon. It was $89. And it's only because I couldn't get the rope I wanted. It wasn't in stock. So I wanted something for this class.
Those are multiple uses.
You can use it as a tow rope. You can use it as a winch line extender.
So once you use it one time, you could use it again.
You can,
it's not a one and done.
Yep, that's correct. Now, Australians like to use what they call a Snatch Strap, which is a kinetic strap. It only stretches like 10%. Those are only good for 5 hits.
Wow.
Where these are good, you're supposed to inspect them each time or after each recovery. And if you start seeing frayed fibers or broken fibers, frayed is okay. Broken fibers is no bueno. That's when you take it out of service and get a new one. This is a tow strap. It's good to have this. You can use it as a tree strap. You can use it just for general towing. Do not try to do a kinetic recovery with this. A bumper's coming off.
Something's going on.
Anytime you use recovery gear, you've got to make sure it's rated. There's got to be a tag or something embossed on it that says what the braking strength is of that particular thing. So this one's rated at 9,000 pounds. 9,000.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's not a whole lot.
I think he's wrapped around the tree.
But if all you're doing is towing, plenty sufficient. Kinetic rope has
stuck.
a tag on it as well. This one's rated at 30,000 pounds.
30,000 pounds.
30,000. That's minimum braking strength. That's what it's
What
rated.
rope did you want to get prior to getting this one?
I wanted to get the Rhino USA. So this is an interesting little doodad. This is called a Snatch Ring. Developed by the Australians.
I've seen a video using those.
Yep. So 45,000 pounds. The soft shackle that it comes with should have a tag on it somewhere. 35,000 pounds, minimum braking strength. So your rigging is only as good as your weakest link.
Yeah.
Right? What's this called? Oop. It's a pulley block.
Of course.
Some people call it a snatch block. This one I got at Tractor Supply, rated at 16,000 pounds. This replaces this.
That replaces that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See the
I get
difference?
it. Yeah.
There's a big difference in weight.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
So I got this set up off of Amazon for, I think it was 38 bucks.
Oh, wow.
It's not expensive. The whole setup. Okay.
He's never been tied up.
Shaped like a bow. It's a bow shackle. Everybody calls them D-rings. That's a D-ring.
So it's a bow shackle?
Yes, bow shackle. Notice I don't have any shackles attached to my Jeep.
How come?
They fall off. This works itself loose.
Oh, I zip tied mine.
That'll work. That'll work.
I said,
The
take
only-
mine off.
the other
Chris
reason-
notices.
The other reason I don't keep these actually attached to my vehicle is people steal them.
Oh, sure.
They'll work themselves loose and they're noisy. It's like a bang, 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 bang. So I opted for the other option.
So you can use Tom as an example for it falling off. And
So this one has a working load limit of 4 3/4 tons. Okay.
And what would I use like on my Gladiator that don't have
oh,
the place for a shackle?
I'm gonna get to that.
All right.
These are called saw shackles. These replace the screw pin bow shackles.
oh yeah. Okay.
It's rated at working load limit is 14,000 pounds with a braking strength of 44,000. You want to do a weight comparison on that?
Oh, yeah.
Now my caveat is I still
Crazy,
carry 3 of those bow shackles
Yes.
just in case.
Oh,
And there's a reason for that, right? I don't have a recovery point on the back of my Jeep that I can get this through.
oh I
Right?
see.
You want to come with me. But the problem is, this is synthetic fiber, right? It has a minimum bend radius, and there's a sharp edge
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
just inside, right?
Cut it right
So
through.
I keep the bow shackles so I can interface with this. Okay. But otherwise, you can use these things for the exact same purpose you would use a bow shackle. These are just lighter, and they're way stronger,
No.
believe it or not.
Weight's a big deal when you carry.
Sure is. Anybody know what this little strap's called?
It's like what goes around
That's
a tree.
around-
Yep, it's called a tree saver.
Yeah.
Saver.
Yep. It needs to be at least 3 inches wide. And you never ever want to put your winch line around a tree and click it to itself. Because A, it's bad for your line, and even more importantly, is it'll girdle the tree. You guys familiar with that term?
You'll rub a line through it?
Yep. You'll take all the bark off of it,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and it'll kill the tree.
Sure.
Could you
And-
use the toe strap for the same thing?
You sure can. I'm going to show you how to do that later. And this has. This actually doesn't. Oh, it has a braking force of 8 tons.
Jeez.
So I can't reiterate enough. If you're going to be getting recovery gear, make sure it's rated.
1 ton.
So yes, this can be used as a vest if you really wanted to, like that. And I've seen it done, but that's not its purpose. You know what this is? This is a winch line dampener.
A winch line what?
Dampener,
Winch line dampener.
right? So when you're winching, your winch line's under an immense amount of strength or tension, right? What happens if something breaks? Where's that line going to go?
Either way.
Right. So what you do is you put this over, it's weighted.
Is this what you're talking about?
So you're putting the line right through
Yep.
here. You just put it over like just like that.
That's correct.
If it breaks, it's not.
This
it
will take that
reduces-
energy and make it fall to the ground.
Wow.
Okay, and it's
Wow.
even more important if you're dealing with steel winch cable.
Yeah.
Steel winch cable, when it breaks, it does this. It does a whipping action because it's spiral around.
Oh yeah. Yeah, makes
And
sense.
it's an immense amount of energy, and you just don't want that in your life right now. These came with my camper. Clearly they're made in China. But those are traction boards.
I lost a glove out of your back pocket.
Stupid glove. So what these are good for is soft, sandy, snowy, muddy situations, which we don't have a lot of here, so I don't carry them with me. And I wouldn't carry those anyway because they're going to break the first time I put my Jeep on them. So this is one thing, one product. If you're going to spend some money to buy traction boards, buy the best ones you can. They're going to be about $300 bucks. But if you want to go to that route with traction
Want me to
boards,
move the rope?
get the good ones. Don't get the nasty. Two high lift jacks, but I don't carry them around because they're heavy. They're dangerous. But they are so versatile. You can winch with them. You can jack your Jeep up, change a tire, that kind of stuff. That's a subject that I'm going to do an entire class on by itself, just because it's so broad. Let's talk gloves. You saw my glove fall out. I like to use leather gloves. Anytime you're dealing with a winch, gloves are mandatory.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no law, but they're mandatory. You've got to have. And I like leather gloves. And I went to Tractor Supply and bought, part of my kit when I first got going. And they included gloves in there. And these are actually good gloves for that. Okay. Nice leather palm. It's really important that the palm is leather. You don't want to have this on your gloves, because if you get your hand, for whatever reason, stuck or attached to that winch line, you want that glove to come off your hand, right?
Yeah.
So, see how easy that comes off? Incidentally, made by a winch company.
Oh, wow.
Okay, they give these out like they're freebies at the.
When I get the gloves like that, I always cut them off.
And that's a good option to do. But
Yeah.
if that's wrapped onto your, it's not coming off.
No.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
Just don't get gloves like that unless you're gonna cut that off. But I like the leather ones personally. It's a me thing. Personal preference. There's more than one way to skin a cat when it comes to recovery.
Wow.
Yeah. So what I'm showing you is not necessarily the only way to do it. There's other ways. There's other ways to set up rigging and everything else. It comes with the experience. I can't tell you, yeah, I can. I can tell you how many times I've used this to save other people, not myself. It's a jump box.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got this off of the old Amazon too. Jeff Bezos loves me. But these are really important because how many times have you come across somebody who's just got a dead battery?
Yeah.
They can't get their rig started. And this weighs a lot less than jumper cables does. Takes up a lot less room. So that's an option. They're not terribly expensive. And I've used it 6 times on other people, not me. You'll find that in recovery, a lot of times you'll be trying to get somebody else off the trail, not yourself.
Right.
But you will need to be prepared for yourself as well. Pretty much covers recovery gear in general. There's more out there. There's a lot more out there. You can spend a lot of money, or you can go budget friendly. Really, totally up to you. Just understand that the budget friendly stuff is probably not premium. So I might get a dozen tugs out of that, where if I'd gone with a Yankum rope or a Bubba rope, hundreds of them.
Right.
So it only has to work one time. That's what kind of my philosophy. So, safety first and always. Using a winch is dangerous. So it's imperative that you keep your head on a swivel, keep your eyes open, think about what's going on. Always have your gloves on. If you're pulling winch cable or anything like that, have your gloves on. You always want to designate one person as a spotter or a person in charge of the recovery.
That's a good idea.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Safety officer.
So, who makes that call? The guy that's getting recovered, because he's going to be in his Jeep. So it's important that he's like, you're going to be the one running the show here. You want to pick somebody who knows what they're doing, obviously. But And it always happens. Every time we come across somebody that needs help getting across an obstacle, 15 people telling them how to turn.
Yeah.
Right? Don't do that. If I'm the guy in charge and I can't settle those people down, I'm stepping away.
Sure.
I'm walking back because
Put everybody at risk.
yes, and I don't want to be that guy. Unless they're doing something really stupid, then I'm going to jump in. Okay, hand signals. Communication is key with this, right? So it doesn't matter what hand signals you use. You need to agree upon them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that could be stopped.
This could be go.
Right. But we have to agree upon that.
This could be turn around.
Okay. So I'm going to go over the more well-known hand signals. Stop is
Yes.
any of that, okay? That should be understood. Stop is, so you can do that too. If we agree upon it, usually that means slow down for me, or this. Winch in. This is winch in. Finger up in the air going in a circle. Winch out. Okay, does that make sense? And this is right off, if you work with a crane guy, these are the same hand signals. Driver assist. In other words, the person who's in the recovery vehicle at the wheel will have it in gear. If I tell him to do this, he's going to put his foot on the gas to help us out. Because you don't want to just completely pull with your winch. You want your vehicle to help you out. Left and right. So usually we yell out driver and passenger.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The problem with that is if you got somebody that's in a Toyota that's right-hand drive. That don't work. So you'll see me doing left and right. And I want you to turn the wheel, I'm pointing.
Facing the vehicle.
I'll be facing the vehicle,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I want you to turn your wheel that direction. So if you're looking at me, you're going to turn it to the driver's side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now. Passenger side. Big hand signals. Big. Don't be going, don't do that. Because you can't see. You got to go, I want you to go that direction right now. Okay? This means center your wheels up, Louie. Okay. If I'm at the front of your vehicle and I'm getting ready to do something with your winch, either pull line out or something, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to look at you right in the eyeball, and I'm going to go like this. You're going to take that winch controller, put it on the dash, and put your hands up. So I know that you don't have that winch controller in your hand because I'm going into your winch. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Safety first. Safety always.
Which vehicle has the winch? The vehicle being
We're going to go over that.
Okay.
It's on my syllabus.
All right.
If I do this, that means I want to adjust your rigging. I want you to put that controller on the dash, and I want you to put your hands up so I can see them. That way I know I'm safe. Then I'm going to go adjust your rigging, then we'll start all over again. Okay? Any questions? So the designated spotter or person in charge is going to be eyeballing not just the Jeep or the vehicle being recovered. You're going to keep an eye on the rigging. Keep an eye on all the people around, because it always draws a crowd. You want to make sure they're in the safe zones.
Sure.
Okay? So it's that person's responsibility, not the guy that's getting recovered. He already designated somebody to be responsible. And in that case, if it's me, I got to keep an eye on all this stuff. It's a busy job.
Question. How many feet is the safe zone? So say if you're recovering a Jeep and you're on the outside, they're on the inside, how many feet should the
Well,
bystanders
if
be?
the line is making a 90-degree turn, you don't want anybody in this area, right? If your rigging is like this, vehicle here, and you're running off a tree,
Never even
you don't
thought
want
about
anybody in here.
90 degree.
And we're going to do that. I'm going to show it to you. You also got to consider, where's that line going to go if it does separate? So you
Yeah.
don't want anybody back
On
in this
that
area
side.
either.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're dealing with steel winch line, I want people a long ways away.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very unpredictable when it goes. And it gives you the ability to just pull the line out. Right? The other is engaged. Now the clutch is engaged, you can't pull. The reason that's important is I may have it sometime accidentally left it in free spool and tried to winch myself in. Nothing happens.
Just sit there.
Just makes noise.
Yeah.
This particular winch can be run either wirelessly or corded. So what I gotta do is I gotta turn on the wireless function, then I have to press and hold this till little lights come on, hopefully the batteries work. So I have a 500 amp contactor to isolate my winch from power so it can't accidentally run away. That happened to me one time. It only has to happen one time. Then I fixed that problem.
So you don't have it directly to your battery?
No. Right there's my contactor. So this is going to the lead, this is going to my battery. That's a 100% baby cycle, so it'll stay on. The advantage to wireless is I can be anywhere on the recovery scene, you know, within range of this, and have eyes on what's going on. I can be way over here, I can be safe. The problem with corded is I'm limited by the cord.
That's true.
I can only go this far.
Yep.
So it's going to be more difficult for me if I'm controlling the winch to have eyes on. So a good practice is, if you know you're going to be in a situation or on the trail that's probably going to require your winch, is to go ahead and get it, and it's wired, is to go ahead and get it set up.
Oh,
So who controls the winch? Is it the driver of the recovery vehicle? Or is it the driver of the vehicle needs to be recovered that controls the winch?
Okay, that's a good question, and we're jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and address it. If Louis is busted up over here, and he has the gear, we're going to use his stuff. He's going, and if we're using his stuff, we're using his winch, then he's going to control the winch.
Okay.
But I'm going to be the spotters, you know,
Okay.
giving all the hand signals. If that's not the case, and we're going to pretend Louis don't have any of that stuff, we're going to use mine, then I'll be the one operating my winch. Unless I designate somebody to operate my winch for me. Does that make sense? Yep. So, here I've gone ahead and pre-rigged my winch controller. Okay? Wrap it around your side mirror a few times, loosely. You want to be able to open and close your door, just throw that controller up on the dash. That way, if you need it, it's ready.
mm-hmm.
And if you're in a precarious position, you're probably not getting out of your Jeep. So somebody's going to be running up here, going in, pulling cable. And they better be friends. Because this is hard work, pulling cable. Especially if it's metal, right?
So that means he has to like you a lot.
If you're the driver and you're in a pickle and you got somebody pulling cable for you, you're going to have your foot on the brake. If you can put it in park, you don't want to rely on your parking pole to hold you, but it's going to keep those tires from turning if your foot slips off or whatever. Because you want to maintain your position until the rigging's set up. And you can, you know, do the recovery and get yourself out of that pickle. Okay. Anytime you're dealing with a winch line especially, put gloves on. We live in Arizona. We wheel in Arizona. Everything in the forest in Arizona is out to stab you, kill you, rip your flesh off. Right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine trying to grab this and there's a Toya spine sticking out of it? This would help. May not stop it, but it'll help.
No, I get it.
When you're dealing with winch line, you never want to let it slide through your hand. For the same exact reason.
Because of the heat.
Well, that's only part of it. It's not going that fast, but if there's a spline or cactus needle sticking out, or a splinter,
It'll ruin your day.
it'll ruin your day. So don't ever just let this run through your hand. Okay? Hand over hand. Okay? I'm going to demonstrate it. You're going to operate my winch for me, okay? I'm going to have you just hit the end there, okay? You want to stand back about 6 feet. Why 6 feet?
Okay, so you're gonna let go if anything happens?
That's part of it. I can't accidentally get my hands in here if I'm 6 feet away, right? I'm not doing my job as a responsible winch operator if I'm getting this close to my winch. Okay, 6 feet away. Go ahead and hit it. So hand over hand, right? Hand over hand. Don't let it do this. Bad idea. Go ahead. Keep stopping. Did you see how fast that didn't stop? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to hit it one time and see how long it takes for that to stop. Another important reason to be 6 feet away. If I'm trying to do it up here and I say stop, if I'm not being cognizant of what I'm doing, my hand can get sucked in here. Safety first, safety always, right? Any questions on that? So they call that overrun, by the way. Winch overrun. Just don't be part and parcel to that. When it comes time to suck the winch all the way in, I get all the way at the end. As a matter of fact, I'm forgetting something and I'm going to go get it right now. Can't do this with like, well, I guess you could, like one of those Factor 55 flat links. They don't always have a little tag strap on them. You can put one on. This is what I do, is I just grab it by the strap, right? When you get to this point, you just got to make sure your fingers aren't behind it, because mine lays flat, and that's the way I want to store it. So that's it. So if I'm outside the Jeep and you're controlling your winch, and I'm doing that little function right there, that's a tap. Just bump it one time.
Bump it, yep.
Right? Boom. Boom. And if I want it to bump out, I'm going to do it this way.
Got it.
Got it? So my particular winch is rated at 12,000 pounds. That's not 12,000 pounds with all that line on there. I got 85 feet of line on there. That rating is on the first layer on the drum. It's against the drum. For every layer above that, you lose like 12%. Right? So if you've got 5 layers on there, you're losing a lot of your winch capacity. So that's important. And I'll show you why. Because do I want to make a short pull with 85 feet of line on there? Or do I want to take most of that line off if it's going to be a difficult pull? What do you think?
A.
No. I want to be on that first layer on that drum to maximize my winch pulling capacity. Does that make sense? So if I've got 85 feet of line on there and I'm like stuck in a boulder field and I have a point right here to pull to, I'm losing a lot of my capacity because I'm only pulling out 30 feet. I'm going to have three layers of winch line on there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to maximize that. So I'm going to show you and demonstrate a double line pull. So you pull out twice the amount of line to do the same thing. And it's actually a mechanical advantage, a 2-to-1 mechanical advantage when you do a double line pull. So here, whose gear to use? If Louis has the gear and he's the one stuck, we're going to use his stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say, no, you're not going to use my stuff if he don't have it. Because it's the reason I carry it. Primarily to get myself out of a pickle, but it's usually to get other people out. So we're going to demonstrate a straight line pull. I'm going to use my Jeep to pull straight to that tree right there. Okay? Then we're going to do a redirect. Actually, we'll probably rig up for a double line pull after that. So then we'll do a double line pull to that same tree. We'll do a redirect onto Louis' Jeep. And then we'll probably set up and do what I call a leapfrog recovery. So if there's a Jeep in front of you or a vehicle in front of you that doesn't have a winch and they're stuck, but you're behind them and you can't get around them, you somehow have to figure out how to winch that guy out without coming backwards.
Wow.
So if the trail keeps going that way and there's no way to turn around, you got to pull them that way. So we're going to demonstrate that as well. Okay? So let's go ahead and get rigged up for a single line pull. What you want to do is you want to finger tighten it, right? Finger tighten.
You're fine.
And then back it off about 1/8 of a turn. Why is that important?
Because you don't want it to seize up.
Exactly. You don't want it to, you know, if for whatever reason this deforms, you still want to be able to get that pin out.
Good point.
Okay?
Now you have to loosen all mine up now.
Remember what I said about minimum bend radiuses and synthetic line? You don't want to use a soft shackle in here because it's got sharp edges, you know, too sharp. They actually make these versions of them. I think ARB makes one where it's actually got a bend to it.
Curve, yeah.
And then you're fine using a soft shackle with that, but I would contend, why mess with something this heavy when you get the lighter one? Yeah. So to rig this guy up, take the bow shackle, put it in there. You would obviously run your line through there before you closed it up and hooked it up. Okay. And I'll actually demonstrate that when we do the double line pull.
All right, guys, leave me alone.
So that's how you would rig up a snatch ball, basically. But I'm going to use my Snatch Ring. And that's super simple. Actually, you know what? I'm going to wait until we actually do the double line pull for that. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and grab my winch line and get it up. It's about 60 feet, probably. Okay. So, I have a clip style hook thingy, right? This isn't the most desired way to do it. This is considered an open system because there's a way for the line to escape. It's just a simple spring holding it in. So you see like Factor 55, people like that, companies like that have those flat links or something that you can just put a shackle through. That's actually more desired. That's called a closed system. So when you
those Factor 55.
yeah, they're nice. They like them though. They're expensive. So I'm going to adjust my protective sheath so that I'm protected there. And when it comes to knot placement, you'll see everything in the world here.
Yeah.
The proper place to put it is here's the loop, here's the knot. You want to pull basically against that knot.
Because it's the strongest point.
It's the strongest point. That's exactly right. I've seen them do it where it's all the way over here.
Yeah.
And it just, to me, it looks sloppy and unprofessional.
So the tree strap goes as close to the ground as you can?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the strongest point of the tree. You also want to make sure it's not dead. I've seen that before.
No, you're right.
Oops.
And you don't want to put it way up here. It's tempting.
Break the tree over.
It starts bending and you can break it. And where you're pulling it right towards your vehicle. Okay, so we're all set up for a single line pull. Okay, so I'm going to need you guys to make sure you just stand back. It's not going to be a hard pull. So what I'm going to do now,
Shrink stepping in cow pies.
I'm going to go get my Jeep started. And I'm just going to pull tension on my rigging. Sure. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just simply going to pull in the little tension. Okay. I'm going to walk up here and I'm going to make sure I'm good to go up here. Alright. Thing looks good. There's no rush. Don't need to be in a rush for this. We're not King of the Hammers racing it.
Unless it's supper time, right?
Unless it's supper time, it's beer 30 or something.
Or you're hanging off the edge of a cliff.
No, you need to be even more cautious at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and...
So where did you say you got that at? Tractor Supply?
This I got off of, I think this came off of Amazon too. But I picked this particular brand, ARB, because this is weighted. In the racing industry, these have to meet a certain standard. And certain things don't want to meet standards.
Yep.
So,
How do you know where to put it on the road?
good question. So I'm about midway.
Uh-huh.
The rule of thumb is the middle third of your pole. So I can put it right here if I wanted to.
Sure.
Put it over here if I wanted to. I'm still within the middle third of this, right? Now, I have seen some people that put one way up by the vehicle and one way down there. Does the same thing, but then you need two of those. Right? So now I'm going to go ahead and do my pull. I've got my brake set just a little bit just to give it tension, right? Straighten my wheels out.
So this is for self-recovery.
This would be self-recovery, yes.
So you got it in neutral.
I have it neutral. I got my parking brake set. What had happened, and JL guys will understand maybe, is the JLs and the JTs have a function called auto park. If you're in neutral and you're not in your seat, it puts the vehicle in park.
Wow. That's
So,
what was happening?
that's what was happening. So, to get around that, you put your transfer case in neutral. Bypasses the transmission entirely.
At any point doing self-recovery, would anyone be in the vehicle giving it gas?
Depending on the situation, yes.
Like
If
if you're
if
like-
I'm completely solo, I got no choice. This is the way it's
Yeah,
going to happen.
okay.
Now, if I got my wife with me, I'd be like, jump up there and
Yeah.
give me a little driver assist, and that's this, remember? Driver assist.
Yeah.
He'd still do it by himself.
And this, you just slide it up as you go. Common sense. All right, recovered. So now we'll go ahead and we'll set up for a. We'll go ahead and do the double line pull next, and I'll show you how to set it up on both of those snatch blocks. You can pay out your line using the winch, powering it out, but it takes too long. And it's hard on the equipment. So you're better off just hit freeze pull. And you ain't there long.
How often do you use the line before you have to replace it?
So you should inspect it like, this is still new. I've never actually used it in duress. I've only tensioned it twice, and then, doing classes, this class in particular. But you see there's like individual fibers. If there's a cut or a break, that's the time to get rid of it. It can be fuzzy.
Just as long as there's no breaks.
As long as there's no breaks.
Okay.
Fuzzy's okay. It's easier to operate. It's nice and soft and comfy. Okay, now since I'm going to be rigging for a double line pull, I have to pull out twice as much line. And remember, that's important because I want to maximize my winch's pulling potential.
So, you can get them on Amazon.
It's hard work. You get your exercise doing recovery.
I know I'm wore out.
Doing a good job, Dave. Doing a good job.
So if you're really stuck, this gives you more tension.
What this does is it creates a 2-to-1 mechanical advantage.
Ah.
It doesn't make my winch 24,000 pound capable. It's still a 12,000 pound
Yeah.
winch.
But
But it makes that 12,000 pound load feel like 6.
because it's going under that.
Right. So I'm going to rig this one up first, just as a demonstration because I'm not actually going to use it. Do the tree saver. I'm going to open this up, put my line through it, like that, then close it. Okay, so that's rigged. I can make that pull right now, except for I didn't connect up to the other end. But that works exactly the same as this. This is half the weight.
Right.
Also, when it comes to rigging, if your shackle is going to be in a vertical alignment, you should always screw down. because I can drop it in there and it's going to stay there. Try to do
Yep.
that when it's raining
Yep.
and all hell breaking loose and that keeps falling out.
Yeah, makes sense.
Screw down. When you're using a hook, like on the end of my line, you always want to hook up on an open system. Any ideas why? I know you probably don't know, but I'm just seeing if you do.
I used to know because we used to do a lot of rail heading in Germany.
Yep. So the thought process is, and I don't know how true it is, if that hook was to break, the energy would go down. If it's already oriented that way. How true that is, I don't know.
I don't want to find out.
Makes sense though.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, USAA.
So
I'd like to
remember,
make a claim.
screw down, hook up.
Yes, sir.
They'd be like, you did what?
This I want it to ride on this protective sheath, right? I don't want to put it on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to orient my knot, my interface, up here towards my tree saver. These are literally brand new, so they're stiff.
God, I didn't know this was going to be R-rated.
You said this was a family-friendly event.
Okay. So, I already forgot the winch line. Did all that fighting and have to take it back off.
You was testing us, right?
Nobody said anything. You guys failed.
Well, I was going to say something, but then again, you're like, shut up.
Shut up,
We were going to wait
Oh,
till you
man.
said, okay, we're done. Then we would have interjected.
Thanks, honey.
Hey, make sure you get it on there this time. One for the
So-
blooper reel.
You can see that when we take up tension, I've got that part of it's next to the knot. Not this part, because I want that part to ride on the protective sheath. So this is where it's important that you take up tension and check your rigging, because there's nothing holding that in. Factor 55 makes one with little fingers inside the groove to hold your line in. But they want like 155 bucks for it. So up here, you see how I put the shackle in? I can go ahead and use it as is.
So this is near towards the end of your line, is that what that means?
This is last, yeah, this is the last wrap, the first wrap on the front. See it planted up correctly. So I can either use the shackle as is, hooking up, or I can use my soft shackle if I don't have a hook.
If you don't have a shackle hook.
Right, so if this was a Factor 55 flat link,
Now say I don't have these hooks on my bumper,
okay,
but I have the Jeep.
those are fine.
Okay.
But just understand that that's an open system.
Okay.
It's not as safe as using a set of hooks.
Okay.
It's still adequate. They're perfectly good pull points. So I want to go ahead and, because I have them, use my soft shackle.
Just because you can, right?
Just because I can. And this is the exact reason I still carry these. Alright, so got that where I want it. I'm gonna hook right next to my knot. That is a bad place for that sticker.
Hook up.
Hook up. So now I'm completely
Screw
ready.
down, hook up.
Screw down, hook up. So hook up, screw down. Go back to engaged. Alright, go back to engaged. Okay, I've got my parking brake on just a little bit to simulate being stuck.
What about your whoopee?
You go ahead and just take up a little tension here. Pay close attention to that block. See how it's pulling through?
Yep. Yeah.
See it?
Supposed to have that weighted thing on there too?
I'm getting there. Okay, now I want to check my rigging. You guys are the smartest class I've ever had. So that looks good.
It appears that some are rednecks. That's probably what it is.
Or just a bunch of retards that make you
When
look
you're
smart.
using this ring, you want to make sure that your line's actually in the ring,
Yeah.
in that groove, okay? Now, this is where I'm failing. I've got two lines. So we need 2. We need 2 of these. Carmen. Birthday's next month.
Well, you can't overlap both of them?
You cannot. You don't want your
Okay.
lines crossing because
Okay.
that causes heat.
Ah,
Heat,
gotcha.
synthetic lines are bad juju.
You would get one of those and you take a birthday trip.
Alright, so I'm happy with it. I'm going to go ahead.
I'm going on my trip in.
Nice. What do you notice? If you don't notice, the Jeep's actually going half speed. I'm pulling in the same amount of line this way, but because I'm doing a double line pull, the pole is actually only pulling the Jeep half speed.
But you've got more strength down there.
Yeah,
That's
so,
your pull point.
and that's a good point as well. Obviously, most of your tension is going to be right here at the winch. The second place is going to be up there at that tree.
Yeah.
So, when you're doing multiple line pulls, you need to be kind of cognizant of where your workload is. You don't want to pick an itty bitty tree for your first trip. So, like I'm gonna demonstrate next a redirect to Louis' Jeep, and we're gonna use that tree right there. It's nowhere near as big as that one, but there's a reason I'm using that tree, and I'll get to that in a little bit. All right, so do you understand the double line pull? Now, what if I put a pulley snatch block here?
Rolling on down there.
Ran it maybe to that tree. What have I got then?
More efficiency.
Exactly. I've just decreased my pull weight by 3. So it's a 3 times mechanical again. Huh?
Gold star for you.
Yeah. I got a.
So when you're doing a winch pull, ideally you want your winch line going straight into the fairlead. Okay? Because if you get off angle, that's all going to pile up on one side of the drum.
Sure will.
So ideally, I want to pull straight in. Okay, so what I want to do is, Louis' rig's all busted up over here, stuck on a twig. That tree doesn't exist. This is the trail. Obviously, I can't get over here to pull him out straight.
Right.
So we're going to do a redirect. We're going to use this tree to get my pulley block out into the center.
Wrap it. Oh, I get it now. Yep. Why don't you just? Oh, I guess it'll show us later. No, go ahead.
Tie knots in it?
Why don't you use the tree saver on that instead of wrapping that around?
Because I want to show you that you can use a longer strap to do a redirect.
That's why I stopped, but you pulled it out of me. There's a reason why he's doing everything, you know?
I'm the tamer, Carmen.
You are. She's doing good with you.
Come back and have us prove around. You ready to retire out?
Notice I'm not letting it slip through my hand.
Well, I found y'all there
Oh,
last
no.
Sunday because me and him's been going out by ourselves, which is not ideal.
No, we did that when we first got our Jeep, when we got
Next
here.
month. This is August 20th. Oh, yeah.
I've not done any
Well, put it in
technical
my
stuff,
pocket.
so.
You hang around with us, you will.
Here I have it rigged up for a redirect pull.
All right, put it in my pocket. Thanks.
See how I've got the winch line more or less coming straight into my fear lead? And it doesn't really matter how we bite on him, I just need to get him back up on the trail,
Yep.
right? How many of these do I need?
2.
Carnin. birthday next month.
It's your birthday trip, or it's that?
Well, happy early birthday.
Yeah.
There we are. So we're all in the safe zone-ish. I mean, technically this would not really, because that line can come out.
Because that would be the danger zone over there. That'd be danger area echo, as we call it over
Yeah,
there.
because if this was to give way,
Call that top gun.
Yeah.
if this rigging right here was to give way, all of that's going that direction.
Yep.
You see the new one yet? Have you seen the new one yet?
So-
No.
He's not in neutral, I'm not going to
That's really good.
worry about it. So technically I should be in my Jeep, foot on the brake,
It's pretty slick, man.
in park, doing this.
So this is basically geometry.
And
Redneck geometry.
And they said they
believe
never
it or
use
not,
it in
there's
high
algebra
school.
involved if you want to start calculating load limits. Or say I'm stuck in mud, how much pull am I going to need to get that out of it? So you take into consideration weight of the vehicle, weight of the vehicle, type of terrain you're stuck in, angle, whatever pitch you're at, all of that comes into play.
Right. Makes sense.
I don't know all those numbers. There's actually an app out there by a company called Safe Extract. It's a $10 app.
Really?
You just plug in numbers, and it tells you what your load's going to be.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But to get certified, you can't use that app. You got to like do math and crap. But that's a redirect setup. What do you think?
Perfect.
Yeah, it's not difficult.
We need a still picture of you right here. For the love of God.
To the side so we can see the. There you go.
You get a still on him? Okay. That's a great
Louis
photo.
gonna put it on Insta.
That's a great photo. Yeah, I'll give you a little feature on my Insta.
Thanks, buddy.
Try to get you some more followers.
You're my boo. All right, any questions on this?
That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
right
it's
there.
pretty cool.
I have seen them like eliminate this because they didn't have a snatch block and actually use a bow pin, a screw pin bow shackle to do that. Do not recommend it. But if you're in a bind, you're in a
You gotta do
bind.
what you gotta do.
Right.
How
More
many
than
of
one way to
those
get a
would
cat.
you recommend having in your,
These?
yeah, 2 at least?
I would say at least one of these.
Yeah, at least one.
If you have 4, you can actually winch your Jeep backwards. But I don't have enough stuff to show you that.
Yeah, imagine.
Yeah. You could just get creative with that then.
Yeah. One for sure. One absolutely for sure.
Recovery is all
Very,
about being
very
safe.
minimum for either bow shackles or saw shackles is 3. Minimum.
You get those right off of
Tree
Amazon.
saber for sure. 3 inches wide.
What if I just have that toe strap?
That'll work too.
Yeah.
You see how many times I wrapped
Yeah.
around that stupid tree though?
Yeah.
So you can put more weight in there
Yeah.
if you thought you needed it.
Yeah. I would have never thought about the weight just dropping it. Yeah, that's smart.
You don't have to get one of these. You can use a blanket, a jacket,
Sandbags tied together.
sandbags tied together, whatever you want to do. But you've got to dampen the line.
Yeah, obviously it's been proven they sell it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's required for the racing teams.
Well, ARB, good brand anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they like their stuff. They charge you accordingly.
When you're out on the trail, you said you use GMRS. Are you plain text? Or do you have it one of the codes set in?
We don't do the security codes because
What channel do you?
well, we jump around because sometimes there'll be interference on one channel. Right now we're set on 18, only because Louie and I both have 15-watt radios installed in our rigs.
I got a 50-watt one in mine. I got that
Now you're
rugged
just
radio.
showing off.
Rugged radio.
Yeah.
I mean, for the price, I'm like, it was a no-brainer. Because I used to be a Midland guy.
That's what we got good.
Yeah.
And they just came out with their 15-watt.
Yeah, I've seen that. What's up with the channel 15 getting that repeater bleed over in there?
Well, channels over, I think it's 15 and over, they're allowed to run repeaters on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why we jump around sometimes.
Okay.
But they're also the high power channels, 50-watt
Yeah.
channels. If you go below that, they're all
They dropped to 5,
Five.
then what is it, 2?
2.
I got a
So-
question. Is that aligning itself when it goes in there, or you have to
No,
align it?
I'm telling it where to go.
Okay.
I literally can't see my line.
Yeah.
By the way, it's mounted in there.
Mm.
So I'm usually a little Kentucky windage.
It's like that Kentucky waterfall you had in the 80s.
On the driver's side.
go.
I'm also a ham radio, and I got a 40-foot tower on a tilt-over base.
Okay.
Could I use my winch to tilt my tower over and raise it back up?
Yes, you can. Absolutely. That's the third winch I've owned.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, having recovered 0 people with a winch, I pulled plenty of bushes with it.
Yeah, that's the truth.
So,
Sure did.
So just figure out where I
Pulled
need
them
to
up
hook
when
on
we
the
were
tower,
landscaping.
maybe halfway up
why
with
not?
the
Pulled them up,
toe
cut up
strap?
stumps, wrapped a stump,
Yeah,
pulled the
just know
stump
that
up.
it's going to pull straight forward before it pulls up, so
Yeah.
you might have to get it started.
yeah, start it up. Oh yeah, game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I could just tone this way, but we need to go that way for whatever
Oh
reason.
my God.
America.
You trying to
So-
pull them back?
Yep. So I got to get around his vehicle to do that.
Or do you?
So you're just going to go from there to there to there.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you put the line in there this time.
Sure.
It's like I know you're getting up there in age, and I know dementia's a bitch. So
Oh.
It's a bitch, girl.
As long as life insurance is paid up, I can put them in a home.
Oh, you're a rich woman if I did at work.
Well, you just make sure it happens that way, baby.
Sounds like my wife.
I wonder if that's what Edelman is trying to do. Make sure it'll work.
Realistically, if this is a real scenario, he'd be pulling my winch cable right now.
I can do it. I got muscles.
Yeah, that's why I was going to ask if since he's the one that's stuck, is he the one doing all the manual labor?
Yeah.
I do all the manual labor.
It depends. It depends.
No.
If he can safely get out of his vehicle without compromising his position.
So we know what I can't safely get out.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I need to go ahead and take care of that.
I need to be a lazy liberal.
My door's stuck.
I see how that works. Hook up, screw down.
I'm dyslexic, so
He's not lying.
up is down, right is left.
So I want to orient my knot the correct way.
Straight and straight.
Bless you. Zoom height.
Damn Jim. Okay, where's the danger zone?
Over here.
Where you're
Inside.
at.
Right where I'm
Inside
at.
in there.
It's everywhere in here.
Yep.
Right?
Anywhere on that side of the road.
Well, I mean, it could be over here if it was wire rope, because if that breaks, it's
Yeah.
ripping this way, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and sync it up again. Oh, it's got a 2-minute timeout.
Oh.
You have to be started.
Yeah. How's that? So that's why you take up tension and check your rigging. That was all jacked up. Okay. Safety lecture, don't do what I do. Okay, don't do this. As soon as this line is hooked up on both ends, it's considered a live line.
Sure.
You should never cross it. So you see how we have it rigged up with a pulley ring, right?
Yeah.
To his back bumper. Do I have a mechanical advantage here?
Oh yeah.
No.
No.
It's not going back to my Jeep.
Oh.
I know, it's a total mind.
Yeah, it is.
Alright, you let off your brake a little bit. Or a lot. Go ahead and quick park. In the real world, that would be a lot longer run, probably.
Sure.
When it comes time to do like what we just did, of course, we're going to have hand signals and all that stuff done, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to agree on that. The recovering vehicle is going to be in driver, in this case reverse, and helping, if you need it.
You said it would be in reverse.
Yeah, because I was pulling backwards. Technically, somebody would have been in my Jeep with their foot on the brake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of relying on the handbrake and and your transmission to hold you in place. If you realize how small that piece of metal is when you put your transmission in park, you wouldn't rely on your vehicle being held on that either. So if I'm sitting in that position and I'm trying to pull this great big huge F-350 and it starts dragging me across the ground, we got to think of an auxiliary anchor point.
Right.
So that's when you break out tow strap, tree saver, whatever the case may be, find a tree and anchor yourself to a tree, big ass boulder, something.
Oh, anchor that.
Anchor that vehicle off the backside.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Makes sense.
So that's all there is to that. That's all I got.
Okay.
Any questions?
Oh, he's a good trainer.
Thank you. Thank you very much.